Hello, 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 everyone. I am Dr. Tharp, and I am here tonight to tell you how you can reverse type 2 diabetes naturally. So, I am here in person. Yes, I am a real person. So, all of those videos that you're seeing out there is not AI, it's just me furiously trying to let everyone know that if you are struggling with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, that you can do it naturally and you can do it fast and you can do it sustainably. So I'm here tonight to help everyone get the tools they need, the knowledge they need to reverse type 2 diabetes naturally without confusing diets, without starving yourself, without doing it alone, and without the risk of more and more medications. And you can do it all without breaking the bank and without going to those expensive holistic programs that can cost thousands of dollars. So you can do it. What I suggest, grab a notepad and take some notes as we get through so that you can build a plan for yourself as well. So I do this through what we call the reverse her challenge. Okay, the reverse her challenge is the successful method that I use called the freedom formula to get your A1C down quickly. And so this is for you. This training tonight is for you if you don't know what to eat. That is one of the big concerns that women who are struggling with prediabetes and type 2 diabetes come to me about. Their number one concern is, I just don't know what to eat anymore. I've tried this diet, I've tried that diet, and my blood sugars are still high. So if they're in a place of burnout, they're burnt out from just trying multiple diets. You're not feeling as good as you know you should. This is for you if you desperately want to avoid medications. That's another big goal that a lot of women who are struggling come to me with, is that they are desperate to stay off of medications or to avoid being on additional medications. And they're you are afraid of developing complications. Okay, so we know that type 2 diabetes can cause kidney disease, it can cause blindness, it can cause strokes, it's highly associated with heart disease, it can cause limb amputations, it can cause urinary tract infections and yeast infections. So we know that diabetes is a disease that destroys the body. And so you are absolutely right to be petrified about complications. And if you are already struggling with these complications, if you know any of these complications all too well, then this training is for you. Okay. So I'm going to tell you how you can start your journey to reversing prediabetes and type 2 diabetes effectively and sustainably. So you're probably wondering, well, why am I here? Why am I the one on this mission to reverse prediabetes or type 2 diabetes? And I can say that I have been in that place as well. As a fresh faced graduate from residency program, I am an board certified internal medicine physician. And as I was graduating residency almost 7 years ago now, um, I was 40 pounds overweight. I had gotten through residency, taking care, trying to balance patient care and trying to balance a newborn. And so during that course, I had gained 40 pounds. I was exhausted and I was not feeling very well. I went for my regular checkup with my primary care doctor. So yes, doctors do need their primary care doctors too. So I went to my primary care doctor, and it was there that she found my blood pressure was high. It was there she found um, my weight was up. My blood work showed that my blood sugar was borderline high. So I was insulin resistant, and my cholesterol was high. So I was suffering with metabolic syndrome, which is a clear sign of dysfunction of insulin resistance. And I got the lecture from my doctor, that if I didn't get it together, the next step would be starting a blood pressure medication and considering metformin. And so, as a doctor who transitioned into hospital medicine straight out of residency, I understood what that meant. I knew the implications were greater than just being on medication. It was about ending up with the complications, the same complications of the very people I took care of in the hospital. Limb amputations, kidney failure, strokes, heart attacks. So I knew that that was my wake up call. And so I decided to take those additional steps to learn more about nutrition, to learn more about how to move my body, and to implement that into my lifestyle. And by doing that, I was able to transform myself, my body, and not just my body, it was a spiritual transformation as well, which then inspired me to go on to inspire others, because I understand that acting early is important to prevent complications, to prevent further discomfort. So that's what brings me here tonight. So, as you can see from this picture, I was suffering with what so many women suffer with, and that is the visceral fat, the hormonal chaos, the chronic stress, feeling tired and sluggish, just feeling like the weight wasn't coming off. So, it's I was able to transform my health, and I became this. And today I want to share how we can do that journey as well. So it's what I call the freedom formula. So this is where you want to get your notepads out, okay? So this is where we're going to dive in a bit into the freedom formula. And before I dive into the freedom formula, I want to highlight someone who has gone through the freedom formula. We went on this journey together, and this particular client, I call each of my clients rebels, the reverse her rebels, because they're taking a stand, right? They're taking a stand against diabetes. They're taking a stand against the status quo. And so, she came to me with, excess body fat. She was pre-diabetic. Her doctor wanted to start metformin, and she wasn't ready for that. She wanted to try the natural approach. So we worked together, and as you can see, the dramatic difference here. She stuck to the program, she stuck to that freedom formula, and today she's truly free from the shackles of prediabetes. She's more insulin sensitive now. She has more energy. So this is just one of the success stories from the freedom formula. So let's dive into what the freedom formula means. It's what we use for the reverse her challenge. And under the reverse her challenge, there are several principles that we go by. The first and the foremost is going to be of no surprise, and that is nutrition, right? Nutrition is the foundation of reversing prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. So no surprise. Now, the big question here, and the big frustration that I see a lot, is a lot of women are just they don't know what to eat. They've tried to become vegetarian. They've cut out meat altogether. They've cut out fat altogether, and so their blood sugars aren't getting any better, and they're baffled. And so the answer to that is your body needs fat. It needs the good fats. It needs carbs. Okay, so eliminating carbs is not the way to go. Completely cutting out carbs and going keto is not the way to go. Okay, your body does need carbs, but we will talk a little bit about how much carbs you would be eating. Your body needs protein. Okay, so cutting out meat again is not the way to go to reverse prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. You absolutely need to have protein in your diet. It's actually very critical. So we talked about good fats. You need carbs. You need protein. And the last one I want to talk about is fiber. You absolutely need fiber. Now, what's healthy for everyone is not necessarily healthy for someone who's struggling with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. So if you've seen any of my videos, you know that. And so a lot of the ratios are off. Okay. So even though we need carbs, the problem is diabetes is a disease of excess carbs. Our bodies can't handle excess carbs. So we have to understand exactly which carbohydrates to eat, how much our body needs to sustain itself. So we have to identify those things in order to successfully keep our blood sugars down, to prevent from having those spikes. So knowing what carbohydrates, no, the specific carbohydrates that you should be eating is complex carbs. Okay. So, do we count wheat bread as a complex carb? Absolutely not. We don't count any form of bread as a complex carb. A complex carb is in its natural whole form. And so, in that case, we're talking about sweet potato as one example. Squash is another good example. So, when you're choosing your carbohydrates, you're choosing smartly. And so even though we get the perception wheat bread is marketed as healthy, right? And the reality is it might be healthy for someone without prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, but it is not healthy for someone who's struggling with insulin resistance, prediabetes, or type 2 diabetes. So that's a big mistake that some people do make, the assumption that not eating white bread is eating cutting out white bread is one step that most people take, but then going to the wheat bread, and the wheat bread is a trap, to be honest. So if you're gonna have bread, make sure, I'm gonna drop another pearl, so get your notepads ready. Ezekiel bread. Ezekiel bread is important, okay? The reason Ezekiel bread is important is it's less processed, it's very high in fiber, and it's higher in protein. So Ezekiel bread is an excellent option if you want to have a bread, but again, in moderation. So it's really important to, if you're going to limit your carbs to complex carbohydrates, so write that down, complex carbohydrates. And if you're going to go for more of a slightly processed carb, you want to go for the least processed one possible, and that would be your Ezekiel bread. Ezekiel bread is not found on your regular bread shelves. It's found in the freezer at the supermarket. So just keep that in mind. Ezekiel bread is going to be your choice. Throw out the wheat bread. Throw out, of course, white bread. And the same applies with white rice versus brown rice. If you're going to have, what's again healthy for everyone is not necessarily healthy if you are battling pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes. So once you've overcome pre-diabetes, it's okay to do brown rice. But brown rice is not the best option when you're actively trying to reverse prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, when you're working on getting that A1C down fast. So we've talked about carbohydrates, and please feel free to put any questions in the comments if you have any questions, or if you have any follow-up questions to what I'm saying, or if you want to drop any pearls in the comments, feel free to do that. Any input is appreciated. And there is going to be a Q&A available at the end as well of the session. So please feel free to jump in anywhere with a comment, with a question, and I'll address it. So we talked about carbs. Another big a macronutrient, okay, that we have to pay attention to when we are working to reverse prediabetes or type 2 diabetes is protein. So this is where I am reaching out. I am appealing to anyone who has considered becoming a vegetarian in that last ditch effort to to reverse your blood sugars. Don't do it. You don't have to give up meat. Okay. So becoming a vegetarian becomes more of a disadvantage. Okay. And I respect anyone who's already a vegetarian. They may be a vegetarian for other reasons, but you don't have to take that drastic step. And the reason I say that is it's very hard to get good protein sources as a vegetarian. Protein is critical for satiety, so it slows digestion and it prevents those rapid blood sugar spikes. So it's really important that every single meal throughout the day has some protein in there. Breakfast, lunch, dinner is should have a source of protein, and a high quality source of protein. So that should be your egg whites is also important. So take this note down as well. Egg white adds a lot more protein to your breakfast. Another thing to remember, and another challenge that a lot of people have, is the assumption that the protein in breakfast has to be eggs. It does not have to be. Breakfast is anything. If you want to have chicken leg for breakfast, you can have a chicken leg for breakfast. So just remember, in order to get enough protein, you can have that protein any time of the day, and it can be any type of protein. So high quality sources of protein are your egg, your chicken, preferably chicken breast, your fish. So you want to have your salmon, you want to have tilapia, you want to have mackerel, tuna. So fish is also an excellent source of protein. So any animal protein is good, and and fish is also excellent. Okay, so just remember, protein is not the enemy; it's the friend when you are fighting pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes. So up your protein, and you will see changes. You will, number one, see less blood sugar spikes. You will feel more satisfied throughout the day. You will eat less, and you will start to shed excess body fat, another enemy when it comes to your blood sugars, right? So, protein is extremely important. Just remember that. Now, the third are your healthy fats. And if you notice, those three fats, carbs, the protein, fats are also critical. So if you notice, I have not said none of them are important. All of them are important here in balancing blood sugar. But the key word here, and write this down, if you are taking notes, write this one down: good fats. Good. Emphasis on good fats. So when I say eat good fats, we're talking about avocados. We're talking about the fats from fish, from natural sources. We are talking about olive oil, okay, extra virgin olive oil. We're talking about avocado oil. Those are really the only fats that you should be having. The fats from nuts and seeds, those are the sources of fats that you should have in your diet. Get rid of the vegetable oil. Get rid of the canola oil. Get rid of the margarine. Those are detrimental. So, oftentimes with type 2 diabetes, you also have a spike in cholesterol. So some of you here may be struggling with high cholesterol as well. It goes hand in hand. And that's what we call metabolic syndrome. So in order to get that cholesterol improved, you actually want to get the right balance of good fats. So start off by getting rid of bad fats. And your bad fats are your saturated fats. If you're going to have butter, have it in moderation, and you're going to have grass fed butter. Why grass fed butter versus the regular butter? Grass fed butter comes from the cows that are fed natural sources, they're fed in the pasture, and therefore the butter is more nutrient dense versus the one that comes from cows that are fed with feed and all kind of fillers. Those are poor. It's just plain old fat, nutrient empty fat. So so again, keep that in mind. Good fats is the key. Get rid of anything that's a bad fat. Other things that have bad fat in it are your common sense things, right? So cake, pastries, all of those things. Those baked goods, basically junk food in general, have a bad fat in there. It's the cheap fat, And so in that case, again, I'm sure that's common sense, get rid of those if you really want to combat prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. So that pretty much sums up the nutrition side. Something that's unique to the reverse her challenge that I do is the detox side. And so it goes hand in hand with nutrition. It's a 4-week process. And so detox does not mean being in the bathroom with diarrhea or belly cramps or nothing like that. So those are the dangerous types of detox that actually cause havoc on your blood sugar. The detox I'm talking about is in a very systematic manner, eliminating certain groups of food from your diet over time, foods that are processed, foods that are known to cause inflammation, and seeing how you feel after that time. Many people actually don't go back after we complete that process. Many people vow, that they're going to go forward with after the elimination. There's only very few things that we reintroduce into the diet once we go through that process. So detox is important, but it should be a reasonable and safe detox. And to be honest, you should not be uncomfortable during a detox. If you're uncomfortable during a detox, it's not a good thing. It's probably going to wreak havoc on your hormones. Now, the other big thing I want to, and so I call the detox cleaning the slate, right? We want to start with a clean slate. If we're doing detox, we're doing nutrition, then we are going to maintain hormonal balance. So remember, our hormones, in order for our body to make good hormones, we have to have good fats. Or hormones are made up of fat. It's made up of protein. So if you have become a vegetarian and you're on a vegetarian low fat diet, guess what's happening? Your hormones are out of whack. Your insulin is going crazy and your blood sugars are spiking. So, in order to balance hormones, you have to restore nutrition. The other side of balancing hormones are habits. So, nutrition is a big part, but you have to have the right habits. You have to be eating at the right time. You have to be sleeping at the right time. You have to be de stressing at the right time. So, habits are also a critical part of addressing blood sugar, believe it or not. And so, again, that's the process that we learn during the Reverse Her Challenge, 12-week challenge, where we refine these skills. Now, another big part of this process is the Strong Her moves. So, this is another time to grab your notepads and take notes because nobody else does it this way. So the Strong Her moves is what I call body recomposition. So what do I mean by that? It's essentially resetting your cells. We're addressing insulin resistance from the cellular level. How do we do that? So simple, resistance training. So resistance training is a process of challenging your muscles. It is where we're lifting weights, we're using resistance bands, and that is a process of resistance training. So one big misconception that people have on their journey when they're trying to do it themselves, do it on their own, is that they should be running on the treadmill, doing an hour of cardio, breathless and sweaty and exhausted. And the reality is cardio does help, yes, and you do want to implement cardio into your routine, but you don't want to overdo cardio. What you do want to instill into your routine is resistance training. So that is where you're getting your dumbbells, you're getting your resistance band, and you're using a structured program. So I'm not just talking about randomly doing, bicep curls. I'm not talking about randomly just, one day, doing a few curls and then calling that resistance training. Resistance training has to be consistent. And so your question right now is, well, what does that have to do with the cellular level? Well, this is what I mean. Muscle is a very powerful endocrine organ in our bodies. So remember that. Muscle is a critical endocrine organ. It is critical. It works hand in hand with insulin to control blood sugar. Here's the other issue is that as we age, we lose muscle. And as we lose muscle, we lose the ability to control blood sugars. So that is why putting muscle on the body is critical through resistance training, otherwise called body recomposition. The last thing is that we need to build community, right? We have to reach out for help, and we have to gain the knowledge that we need to do it properly. So that's what I mean by community, and that is what the Reverse Her Challenge offers, is a community. So, I discussed the results that we've had from Reverse Her, from the challenge. This is someone who has gone through the Reverse Her challenge. And so, throughout this, we've talked about diabetes and prediabetes, and I want to make it known that at the end of this presentation, there is an opportunity for Q&As, questions and answers. And there's an opportunity to reach out for a 15-minute discovery call as well. And so that way we can discuss your specific challenges and figure out how we can help you, overcome your specific challenges. So this is what we want to avoid. Okay. And so I described the freedom formula and exactly how you can do it, how you can achieve that. We know that diabetes is a systemic condition. It affects every organ in your body. It makes you feel, sluggish and fatigued. And so, obviously you want to overcome that. So I want to go over a few testimonials. All of this we have covered, but just to touch on a few testimonials. And so this was another client who I had who got through the Reverse Her Challenge and successfully got her A1C down. So this is what we're celebrating. One of the big the big victories here is that when we first looked at her A1C in March, it was 7.1. And she too was pretty frustrated about, trying different diets. She was intermittent fasting. She was drinking cinnamon tea and nothing was working. Her numbers were just creeping up. So it actually went up from 6.7 to 7.1 in the span of 3 months of taking those steps that she was taking. And so we decided to work together with the Reverse Her Challenge. And here we are less than 90 days later. Her A1C went from 7.1 to 6. So it does work. The freedom formula does work. You just have to know the right approach. So, of course, if I gave you lots of pointers on how you can naturally reverse prediabetes and type 2 diabetes naturally. But if you want that extra support, if you want to get there fast, okay, then that is where I recommend reaching out to us. That's why we're here. The Reverse Her Challenge is here for you. We help women reverse prediabetes and type 2 diabetes naturally within 90 days. We work over a 90-day period. Typically, the A1C improves within 90 days. We offer the step-by-step coaching that's needed to achieve that. And so if you want to book your discovery call, then feel free to reach out to us. I will put the link in the chat, and that way you can reach out to us to book your free discovery call if you think you need that extra support and help. All right, so if there's no questions, then I will go ahead and log off. But just remember, we are here. I will be doing lives regularly, so stay tuned. And if there's any questions, feel free to put it on my page, put it up as a comment, and I can definitely include it in my lives going forward. All right, have a good night.